Mark, no point in winning the derby and then going and getting relegated. That's the message really after Saturday, is that you've got to keep pushing on.
Yeah, funny enough, people said to me in the summer that as long as we win the derby, it doesn't matter what else happens. Well, I've never really subscribed to that one, if I'm honest. So, from our point of view, it's 5 games to go, put ourselves in a decent enough position, but we know that there's other teams really scrapping it out with us at the minute. And I'm really happy that we've got a game coming around so fast, because when you've got a bit of momentum, you want to try and take that into the next game as quickly as you can. And as good as the performance and the result was at the weekend, it's worth 3 points. Other results were good to us on Saturday, but it's very, very close, and anything can happen over the next few weeks, and probably will. So for us, it's about getting ourselves ready this morning and delivering a really good performance in what will be a very different type of game tomorrow, but one that we'll know we're going to need to be very good in to take something from.
When you spoke to us ahead of Good Friday, one of the points you made was the importance of continuing to play with freedom, despite the stakes, despite the potential pressure of the situation, to have that freedom in your play. And you must be delighted how that's happened over the past 3 games.
Yeah, because it hasn't always, and it's very easy not to, actually, when you are under the pressure we're under, or in the form that we were. It's not easy to find almost that freedom and confidence to just play. And I think in the last few games we have done, but that's a consequence of things going our way a little bit as well. So you sort of grow into the games and grow into the next game as well as we have. So yeah, look, hopefully we can keep doing that. We know the consequences are big on games at the moment, and we can't escape the pressure of the situation that we find ourselves in, but we are handling that well. I think we're playing with a really good composure. I used the word temperament at the weekend being really important for us. And we have to make sure that this will be the same tomorrow. We're going to have to be super aggressive, super strong and intense to defend our box and defend against a really physical team. But we have to have the composure and the quality to find passes and take control of the game and have confidence and conviction in our attacking play. I think we've found that a lot more in recent weeks, and we need to continue to do that, because we've got a lot of games to win in the next 5 in order to get above and stay above the line.
Yeah, a good example of the attacking play pushing forward. Second half performances, second half goals at the weekend against Fleetwood as well. Coming on really strong after the break and building on first half performances. Yeah,
which is also impressive and really important. You know, scoring the first goal is key, and scoring it again is key. I think what's key from this spell as well is we went behind against Bolton and played with a real conviction that we could get back in the game. So having that belief in every part of our performances is going to be important. But the fundamental start point to all of our good play or anything has been an aggression about how we go about the game, and the physicality that we've played with. So that is the first point. We've got to find that again. I said in the after-match interview on the weekend, and I said it in the pre-game plan to the players, that it was really hard for us to find more than we've been finding in recent games. But we have to find that, and that's the key. You know, we've got to find that again tomorrow. We've got to have the motivation, we've got to have stamina in our motivation to just keep going, because we're on a nice little run, but it is a little run, and it needs a big run in order to get above the line and stay there. And we've got a big week ahead of us with 2 really tough opponents, and we can't be anything other than completely focused and committed to going and getting those results again, and hopefully the almost conviction we've played with, or the way in which we've grabbed the games by the scruff of the neck's really key. And I think in the last 2 home games, the way we started those second halves to score the next goal rather than just play to protect has been a really important mindset as well.
And looking at the team news, we could probably find many examples of how the squad depth and having players available has been really important over the past couple of weeks. But missing Lloyd Jones at the weekend, a player you'd never want to be without. Ryan Bennett, Michael Morrison coming in and doing exactly what they needed to do.
Yeah, I thought they played a really good game. Very strong defensively, and you have to be against a team that attack as much as they do, and a striker as potent as Clark Harris. So I thought they played a very good game. But they're both very experienced boys who have helped us massively since they've been here, and will play a big part between now and the end of the season. You're right, we don't want to miss Lloyd. We want him back as soon as possible. It won't be this week, but hopefully we can get him back for the following, and we'll just see how he recovers throughout this week. But the squad's strong. You know, we've got players that can come on and make a difference. We've got some really good players not making squads at the moment, and the players who didn't get on the pitch at the weekend, George Thomas, Steve Seddon, experienced boys at this level or higher. So there's certainly a difference in what we've got available at the moment, and that's paying us up. That's paying off for us. But we've got to continue, because we're halfway through this final chase in the season, and I said it's going to take something very similar, if not better, than the first 10 games. And we've started well in that regard, but we've got a lot to do.
Talking of players that haven't been making the squad, I know you've got a lot of left-sided defensive players available, but with Brandon Hornstrup, is it a case of he is fit and ready to go, but he's just got those players in front of him? We haven't seen him for a while.
No, he hasn't been fit and ready to go, but he is training with the team again now. He had his first session with the team on Friday and will train with us again today. So again, he's one that probably needs this week and next to train, and then hopefully he's fit and available going into the last week. And fingers crossed, we can be in the race in the last week and have 25 fit players to pick from.
Yeah, I'm talking of somebody else who's come back to fitness. Fajiri coming off the bench, playing a big part in getting points over the line. Is he going to be at a stage where he could start a game before the end of the season? Can he move that quickly?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think he's totting his minutes up nicely. I don't think he's far away from starting a game for us, which is good, and then getting some bigger minutes. He probably won't play a 90 between now and the end of the season, as has been the case a lot with the ones that are playing in those wide or attacking positions. But we certainly expect him to at some point be able to start a game and have a good influence on it. He's done well in the times that he's come on. And we're playing that little bit of a game between, we need everybody fit and available, but we're running out of games, and we need to put players on the pitch and hope that they can deliver good performances. So he is another one that we think can add real good value for us, be a goal scorer and a creator of chances. We saw that when he came on against Bolton, and I'm hoping that we can see plenty more of that in the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, and with Wycombe, from what you were saying, even though they've had the change of manager with Gareth moving on, still quite familiar in the way they're going about things?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the teams have been fairly similar and consistent in the way in which they've played. A few of the players that we're used to seeing more often haven't played so much recently. Tafazoli, McCleary, Vokes, but they're all fit and available now, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them return to the team, which gives them a huge focal point and a real aggression and physicality in their game. Matt's gone in and taken over from Gareth and continued on that work. They're still in the hunt for the playoffs. And I think they're a team that we know fairly well, and we understand what to expect, and we'll have to be very good. When we play the top teams, we know how difficult those games are, and we know how well we've had to play in the last couple of weeks to get results. So it will take no different again this time. It will be a different kind of game, but at the same time, we've got to find a really high level in order to compete in it.
And I suppose it's always tricky to say at this moment, but with the team news availability for Tuesday night, is it just the usual checking knots and niggles, nothing particularly standing out?
Everybody's good. No problems from the weekend, so we're other than Lloyd and the ones that are obviously longer term, everybody's good.
Brilliant, that's great for me.
Hi Mark, just on the injury front, what injury is it that Brandon's got? Is it a new one or a recurring one?
I can't remember when we last spoke, to be honest. I can't remember what the last thing was, but it was just a continuation of the same injuries. No new injury. He's fit now. He's available. He's been working with the physio, so he's had a bit of a problem with his calf, a bit of a problem with his knee over the season, but he's back out training again now, so he is fully fit and available once he gets some training work in. So this week's difficult. The following week we'll have more time to train. But by the time we get round to the Accrington game, hopefully he's had 2 weeks of training and is ready to contribute if called upon.
With Liam O'Neill, when do you think he might be able to make a return?
Well, he's ready. He wants to be involved now. So he's another one who's probably a few training sessions behind, but he'd play tomorrow if he could. So we've just got to be mindful of the time he's been out and try and get him some training throughout the week. But he's certainly available for selection if we choose that he's ready and done enough to be ready.
You said on Saturday that it's likely you're going to need to make changes going into tomorrow night. How important do you think that's going to be, given the amount of effort that you put in on Saturday?
We'll see what we do with the team. We've got loads of options. We've got a busy week ahead, and we've got some good decisions to make and some good options to have. So in the end, we've got to deliver a really good performance, which 11 we pick that with at the moment is lots to choose from. And obviously we've got a few different ways in which we can play, which is nice to have that variety and those options again. But yeah, no decisions made yet on where we go with the team.
You can obviously get out of the bottom four tomorrow night with a good result. How much of a boost would that be at this stage, or does it only matter at the end of the season?
Yeah, 5 games time, the table becomes really important. That will only happen if we get a really positive result and others don't. So we can't get too wrapped up in it. The focus is on our performance level. That's what it's been, and continuing the run that we're on. And then wherever the table says after the game that there's it's really close now. I think Forest Green obviously have gone, and then you look at the 5 teams above that. It is really, really tight and really close. And Port Vale probably need another result, and they've made a change with their manager this morning, which I think is incredible, to be honest. But he's there's obviously some changes there afoot as well, and yeah, it's an open race really. Probably 5 teams for 3 places. Maybe 1 or 2 could fall into that, but from our perspective, we have to just be really focused on delivering top levels. Knowing we're going to need to win a few more games yet in these 5 to get ourselves above the line, but also trying not to get involved in the drama of it so much, because in the end the only time it matters is after the coronation.
I was going to ask about Darryl as well. What do you make of this culture in football where football managers are so disposable?
It's just what it is, isn't it? That it will never change, regardless of my opinion. I mean, I think the average tenure is about 13 months now, and first-time managers, 60% of them don't get a second job, and so on. There's so many statistics, but it's just reflective of society, isn't it? It's highlighted. Everyone expects success now. No one's patient. You're not allowed to make mistakes anymore. You're not allowed an opinion anymore. Yeah, we live in a crazy world, and it's all highlighted by football, and people have forgotten that to build anything it takes a long time and a lot of work, and usually loads of bad days, more funerals than weddings in football, and it's just trying to ride those periods out. So it doesn't surprise you at all, but I like the fact that as a football club we have a slightly different way of doing things, and we're trying to have our own way. And all you can ever do is do what's right for your club. So those that make those decisions in other clubs are doing what they think is right. And likewise here, we have a slightly different view on things, but it's a slightly different way in the fact that I think in many football clubs, one guy builds a team and then is responsible for everything. But in this football club, a team are building a club, and there's a very different thing there. So we have a different way of doing things. We want to build something that lasts for a long, long time. And there's a long-term view there, but the very, very short-term nature of it is we've got a game tomorrow that we need to win, and you can never escape that. So that brings its own pressure, and that's where our focus is now. But obviously there are other people in the club that think about things differently.
Just finally on Conor McGrandles as well, you're pretty high in praise of him on Saturday. What do you think your chances of re-signing him next season will be?
Absolutely none.
No chance at all?
No. People have to understand the market we live in. It isn't that one, unfortunately. We can get players like that on loan potentially for a short-term period of time, but the likelihood of signing people with long-term contracts in other clubs that earn buckets of money is very, very difficult. We had an unbelievable January window, and that needs to be respected. The investment that's been made and the strengthening of the squad's been exceptional. He's a top player in League One, and it would be very difficult for us to sign someone like that permanently and buy somebody of that sort of nature. So yeah, unfortunately that isn't the market that we live in, but the summer's a long, long way off. He's an excellent player. Let's enjoy him while he's here and hope he's as good in the next 5 games as he has been in the last 5.